This special meeting to order. Today's date is December 3rd, 2025. Time is 6 o'clock here at the Powell County Emergency Operations Center. If you don't care, let's all stand and say our pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll go ahead and remain standing. Dale?
You bow your heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we love you and we thank you so much for allowing us to live in a country where we're free to gather and free to discuss. And we pray hedge of safety around this group as they travel. We pray for the masters, Lord, and give them the knowledge and wisdom to make the right decisions and affect us and our community. And we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
All right, Connie, if you don't care to call roll.
Judge Barnes,
Here.
Dale Bowen,
Here.
Dennis Cobb,
Here.
Mike Walker, Robert Kenny,
Here.
Chad Patton.
There is a quorum. First thing under discussion, and one of the things that I'll make sure everybody understands tonight is a special meeting, and it's a little bit different than what we do on a regular meeting. Usually we'll have people sign in to speak and stuff like that, but on the special meeting, we're not going to. People has told me that tonight, people's gonna be disorderly and all this stuff. We're gonna run a good meeting, and please, everybody, just, respect everybody else, all right? So, first thing, we'll go ahead and call Hollywood, and one of the things, a lot of people, and I appreciate everybody coming in, but a lot of people have a misconception about what we're trying to do to Hollywood. I've heard that we're trying to sell Hollywood to buy fire trucks. I'm trying to sell Hollywood to stick money in my pocket. I've sold Hollywood to do this and do that, and that's not anything of the truth, all right? Basically what we're trying to do, and I've said this over and over again, whenever I first came in, Hollywood, I wasn't a big fan of Hollywood. I'll sit here and tell you the truth. But Hollywood is a great opportunity. It's a place that is very well known throughout the community. It can be a real prosperous business, but not for the county. All right. What we're doing right now is we're not doing good for Hollywood. All right. The county is we don't have the money to operate it. We don't have the resources, and I feel, and it's the feelings of the fiscal court, that the best way is to put it into a private entity. All right. And what we're looking at is trying to do a lease agreement. One of the things we did before is we talked about P3 agreement. We had one group interested in it, and come to find out, basically what they were wanting to do, it could not go into the P3 agreement. They were wanting to purchase part of the property and lease part of the property, and that's not a P3 agreement. So now what we're gonna have to do is we've got an attorney drawing up a lease agreement that's a professional on these leases, and drawing it up, and at that time we will allow people to get a lease agreement and see what they want to do, and so that's what we're looking at. So the rumor that and let me say also, selling's the last resort. But if and like I say, awful big if, and we're not not wanting to do that, but if it was, then we talked about deed restrictions saying that Hollywood would still have to be there. Whoever bought it, Hollywood would still have to operate. So that's what our best interest is Hollywood. It's not just getting rid of it and stuff like that, you know, we wanna make sure that this thing goes. And, you know, it's to benefit our community, just same as it is to the county, so that's where we're at. All right, Robert, do you wanna elaborate on the lease agreement type deal?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say, Judge, I'm not necessarily the one drafting that, and I don't know what the end product's gonna look like, but ultimately, the way I think it'll work, we should have it this week, that's what I was told. I think then what, will happen or should happen is that we would sit down as a court and look at that over, decide what we like about it, don't like about it, things that we may wanna add if there's something that's not in there. And kinda just finalize, you know, this will be the bare bones, the bottom, the basics of what we want, and go from there.
Okay. And two things that we have discussed, what the bare minimum we're looking at is, one is our property payment. It's somewhere around $127,000 a year, and we want insurance on it. That's the bare things that we're looking at, all right? And basically what, we're looking at, and guys, anybody that wants to chime in or anything like that, that's fine, but basically what we're looking at is the bare bone of that. Where we do the leases, you know, whoever brings in the best offer, and we can justify that agreement, that then, it's up to the fiscal court, the whole fiscal court, not me. A lot of people say, you're selling it, you're doing this, you're doing that. No, it's us, you know, that we're doing it. We will decide on, who gets it.
How much is it forecasting that we're gonna come up short this year?
Well, right now,
A little over $5,000.
yeah,
How much?
A little over 5,000.
well, they had
That's
a,
making the bond payment.
yeah, they had, and basically, what's going on this year is they've got, what is it, money set aside for
Yeah, we
another
set
piece.
aside so much
Yeah.
for that property.
Yeah, I think it was around $100,000, $110,000, something, that they've set aside for that. You know, the bond payment, then they've got some other things that they're wanting to try to sell off the, food truck that Hollywood bought to, make his payment, you know, and the county will probably have to put some money into the bond payment stuff. So, you know, we wanna get this done, you know, because like I said before, we're doing Hollywood a disservice. You know, I'll say that, I'm not proud of it or anything like that, but, you know, it can be better than it is, a lot better than it is, so.
Yeah, I'm an off-roader, I love off-roading, but it's not fair for the other taxpayers in the county have to pay on that. No, when they should be able to pay for itself.
Yeah, and one of the things that we're looking at also, the reason why that we're trying to do a lease agreement on it versus selling it or doing anything else, is that, we have 3 grants totaling out to about $750,000, for the trails, you know, for the maintenance, trail maintenance and stuff of Hollywood. You know, we think that if it goes into a different name or anything like that, we won't be able to use that money. So that's the reason why we're trying to do the lease agreement versus anything else. And also, some people has, looked into, is it First Frontier?
Yeah.
Trail systems for trail maintenance and stuff, so, you know, I don't know what the exact wording of that is, but they have done work with the state and other maintenances and stuff like that, so hopefully they would be able to use that money to do the trail maintenance.
How much we have on that?
It's right around $750,000. And Tony Tipton, I don't know if he's here.
Here, I seen it.
Tony, have we got that money yet?
Yeah, matter of fact, I got an email from them just today, wanting to know when we're ready to start spending,
Is that the first one or all three?
all three.
All three, okay.
It's a little bit closer to 800,
And Tony Tipton, y'all don't know Tony Tipton, he's the executive director of Hollywood, so, Tony, do you have anything to say on this?
No, I think it's good that we're making forward progress, that's the main thing. Brings a lot of money into the local economy, from all the side benefits, all the restaurants, all the camping, all the cabins, everything fully rented out, and we're up and fully operational. It's a big stroke to the economy locally, and,
And that's one of the things, you mentioned a couple things there, is, you know, this is me, you know, I would like to see benchmarks on the lease also. You know, if we make it, you know, in 5 years, you know, what kind of progress are they gonna have, you know, because some of the things I'd like to see up there is, I'd like to see a campground, you know, some type of camping. You know, some cabins, you know, where we say cabins, you know, I'm looking at cottages and stuff, because people that go up there to off-road and stuff, I am not an off-roader, so I'll tell you that, I know nothing about it, so. But, you know, they get up there and they get muddy and stuff, they want a place to sleep, eat, and clean up, you know, and that's what I've heard, so. You know, we're not looking at people building $1 million cabins and stuff up there, you know, it's just, that's what I'm looking at, y'all.
I got a question. I'm from Louisville, but my first impression of Hollywood is, as far as the office went, when I first came in there, they have facilities in there, okay? There's no lighting, there's lighting on cords and everything else. That seems like that would be something that needs to be addressed immediately as well, because
Oh, yes.
visitors come in and you walk into the washroom and you go, hey, turn the light on, there's no light in here. It's all that stuff has to be finished out.
And that's what we're concerned about, is, you know, wherever people come in there, you know, me personally, whenever I go into a business, I want somebody to greet me.
Yep.
I don't wanna do online buying or doing this or doing that. You know, if I have a problem, I wanna go talk to somebody, and that's one of the problems right now, based upon what I'm hearing, is nobody's there, right?
I won't say one, and I'm gonna be cordial.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I'm gonna be cordial so everybody can feel out.
I appreciate it.
So, I've probably been involved in this longer than anybody sitting in this room, okay? I've been fighting the forestry service since 2006, okay? Me and Jeff, we came up with the Daniel Boone Backcountry Byway, which is a huge economic resource. You know, ask JL and his campground.
Oh, yeah.
All right? You know,
They might
they have rides and, you know, you can't get another person in there, okay? About the same time we got the byway, which the byway was started in we come up with a conception around 2013, 14. It was about 15 or 16 when we implemented it, which is about the same time we got the park going, which I was one of the main ones to help get the park going with our previous judge. Okay, since that time, okay, we didn't have an economic boom up here until those two things happened. You can look at the numbers, I've got all the numbers, we can discuss all this. I just want everybody to realize the ramifications of what we're talking about. There's, the best number I can find around 200 to 225 Airbnbs in this county. Okay, supposedly we're the number one Airbnb place. That's not hikers, that's not, you know, rock climbers.
Yeah.
They're at Miguel's up there in 10. So if you say let's just say 200, okay? I've talked to several people who are Airbnbs, and they say they average between 35 to 55,000 a year. Right? That's $8 million in this county. That's just Airbnbs. That's not cabins. That's not Five Guys, which has been built since that started. That's not Callie's, which has been built since that started. That's not Ryder's Ranch, which has been built since that started. If you drive up through there, how many cabins do you see? There's hundreds of them.
everywhere.
They're everywhere. All right, you're talking about, since it started, you're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars that's come through this county that wouldn't have never came through this county, all right? When we started all this, we all rode through Sandlot, you know, up the Sand Lake, and it was all illegal. And I was fighting the forestry service over losing the narrows. And we come up with a byway so we could save a bunch of these roads. We saved Spanish Creek, we saved Mountain Springs, we saved all these roads, which is part of the byway, which our friend Luke has taken over. The Daniel Boone Byway is one of, if not the best trail system in the whole United States now, which is tied in with the CAT. You can get on those two trails and drive 1,400 miles now in Kentucky, all right? 1,400 miles in Kentucky, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Tennessee, okay? It's insane. All of that has came to fruition since we started this. So, you know, I have a lot of my life invested in this. You know, I've had several state representatives in my truck, walked out to the Narrows. I mean, I've been in this since the beginning. It's been a nightmare. And I don't care what happens, as long as it don't get lost. I've got too much invested. And if it got lost, there's gonna be a lot of cabins that's gonna go defunct, a lot of people who's got businesses. I mean, if you wanna do an economic, impact, I mean, I'd love to see the economic impact of the actual numbers of the things that's come into the county since it started. Like say since 2018 it got rolling. It's exponential. And then the taxes. How much have you made off the taxes? I know the county talks about making money to make the payment. You're within $5,000. That's a push on a county level. How much money has the county made in taxes? How much money does the county make over 200 Airbnbs being up there? How much is that?
I'm not.
The fingers, I'm saying the fingers go out a long ways. Once you start following the fingers.
I just think that
it goes out a long
Hollywood
way.
should be managed where it makes money.
Well, and it can be. It was.
I know.
It did.
That's
It did make money.
That's the only point here. We don't want Hollywood to go away.
And that's all I'm here
No,
because
we're-
I'm the voice, I wanna be the voice of reason.
Listen, if
To
we
say
wanted
that,
to go
hey,
away, we would put it on
there's a
the
lot of people
internet and sell it. We're not.
who's depending on this.
Yeah, we're not.
Not just to ride, but they got businesses. They've got cabins, Timmy Tipton's got 2 Airbnbs up there by my house. I'm all the way on top of Cane Creek. That's 20 miles away.
Yeah.
And I would say 50% of his people are here to ride. Now his is probably more 50-50. The closer you get to the park, I'm sure that number goes up. You know what I mean? It probably gets up to 80%. I would bet money that it's 80% off-roaders. Because you got 2 people coming in. They either drive their Jeep in or their truck, and they're gonna off-road, so they need a cabin or a place to stay. Or you got somebody that trailers in, all right, they're gonna need a place to stay. Or if they drive a motorhome in and they haul it, then they need a campground. If you go to Cali's, every weekend there's 20 rigs up there, 30 rigs. If you go to Riders Ranch, there's 40 or 50. They just had that Jeep. What the Jeep Jamboree is the Southern 4-Wheel Drive Association. I don't know, did any of y'all see the pictures of that? Have y'all seen the pictures?
There's a lot.
Okay, there was probably about 400 rigs. There were 400 Jeeps up there. 400. The parking lot was bumper to bumper, and they were parked all the way down the road. So I live on Cane Creek, which is part of the byway. If you go up Spalls Creek and up, Pumpkin Holler, you can come back around and come by my house. Every day during the summer, if I leave the house, there'll be 30 Jeeps go by, or 40 So Hollywood you all don't know this. I'm also a dirt bike. I'm a mainly dirt bike rider. So adventure motorcycles, the DBB is huge. They love it because it's just hard enough to be hard on a big bike and be fun, but it's still not so hard that they're going to kill themselves. There'll be 50 motorcycles go by my house. I mean, I know y'all aren't into off-road, but the economic impact is unbelievable. If you look at the pictures from about 2 months ago when they had that up there was an unbelievable amount of people up there, okay? And every one of those guys bought food, bought gas, stayed somewheres. The economic ripple effect of this is pretty big, and I just want everybody to realize the severity of what we're talking about. That's all. I mean, I don't want to get nothing started. Well, I have all kinds of numbers. I have all that. This ain't the time and the place for that. But I do have all that. I do have all of it.
And again, thank you, we do appreciate it. But again, we're not wanting to get rid of this. We know that this place can do good.
And the management part, and like Ronald here, Charles, they had some people, cut a fence at Charles. And I even made on the post, I was like, whoever did this is an idiot. Cause we all kind of police ourselves. Everybody here knows everybody, we're all off-roaders, we've all met each other. And they cut because they leased the land. Britannia got taken over by the First Frontier. Britannia's land backs up to Charles's, and Charles is where we always used to go down. He's got some of the best wheeling up there, all right? And he lets all of us locals. He's super awesome dude, can't say nothing good about him. We always try to help him out with farm ride. We've always had a good working thing. You got a bunch of idiots up there because it's not police. The cat, it's not open. You don't have somebody up there that knows what's going on, that says, hey, don't go down there and go down Charles's road. He's a cool guy, he lets us ride there. Don't go there and cut his fence. Don't be an idiot. it's kinda got to the Wild West, because the park's still there, people still buy passes, people still been riding, but there's nobody up there to kinda police it, say, hey, don't go down here and go cut a fence at Charles's house.
Totally agree.
You know, and I even put on there, if I catch him, I'll smack him in the face, cause Charles has been good to us over the years. He could've stopped us from riding years ago, but he's not, he's always been good to us. And then some dummy goes down there and cuts his fence because they got lost. So what, they got lost and they cut his fence, you know what I'm saying? But if the park was ran right, you had somebody that knew what they were doing, that took care of the park, that cared about the park, right?
Yep.
Okay, the numbers would go up, you're saying that it didn't make no money, because the last months, we've had all this fighting going on, this turmoil, it was the county's fault, they didn't know what they were gonna do with it, and it's gotta be, if it was ran right, if you look at the previous numbers, how much money it made.
Yeah.
What did it make in
Yeah,
2020?
we've got it right here.
What did it
Yeah.
make in 2021, right?
Yeah.
So it paid for itself, plus, I know, cause I know the numbers, right? So if it's ran right, it does great, but it has to be ran right, so people don't get like, and not just Charles, but other people up there, you don't want them making that, I don't want them making people mad.
This is
because-
our neighborhood.
Right,
And
cause
this
when
is
I,
my front yard.
when I try to go and save a road, right, I have to deal with the government trying to save it from them shutting it down, the Forestry Service, which is, you all think you all are bad, the Forestry Service, you ain't got nothing on the Forestry Service. And then you gotta deal, we saved 2 roads that had a guy's house right there, and the road went right through their yard. Well, guess what? I can't help it, I didn't tell him to build his house there, it's still a county road, and we've proved it, and they've had to back off. But you got people pulling guns on us, it gets to be, so you don't want people going through there, and then going out in that guy's yard doing a donut, cause then that makes my job hard, and it makes your life hard, you know what I'm saying? So if it was ran right, and policed right, it would be a whole lot easier, they would say, hey, don't go down the road and cut Charles's fence, because they would know to do, you know what I'm saying, they would know better. But it's kinda went almost to the Wild West up there,
Yep.
that's the best comparison that I can
That's the
make.
phrase we use.
The Wild West, that's what it's
It
kinda
is-
got.
It is absolutely.
I tell you, I want you to keep on talking, because everything that you're saying is, we totally agree with you. That's what we want too. We want people, because we do, every time it gets warm and stuff, we've got people calling and complaining every weekend that the road riders, not the good people, and that's what I've tried to tell the people up there.
Which we've
The
got
good-
the law passed now where they can do,
Yeah.
I helped Eric, we did all that, so, you can get a side-by-side license and register now, which that don't mean you can go willy-nilly crazy down the road, but it does open up where you can do more of the one good thing now, that lets people do part of the byway, where before, they were really tied to only doing the park, but now if you've got a side-by-side and it's tagged and insured, now you can do parts of the byway, cause you can drive it on the road now, which is that's a huge plus for everybody. I mean, that was a big deal. That wasn't an easy thing to get passed. Eric put a lot of time into that. The senator that supported that bill, it was a nightmare, to get passed. And that's a huge thing.
And I figured Chris Fugit would be here tonight.
Like you said, license.
But
Sure.
Right.
They're not doing that.
now,
It's gotta be licensed.
everybody in here, did y'all hear what he said? Because that is exactly what we want. We want people to be able to go up there and go in and ride and have a good time. And if you have problems, we want you to be able to go in and talk to somebody. Just like the neighbors.
Can I show y'all this picture?
Yeah,
Can I approach?
yeah.
So this was that's the parking lot.
Yeah, I would.
Okay. That's one picture.
While he's doing show and tell, can I just get a little clarification?
So that's the parking lot up there. That's how
Real
many
quick,
people.
I just.
And every one of those rigs are
I know we've
$100,000.
discussed that you guys are
This
doing,
ain't no small money we're
new
talking
lease
Hang on just a second,
I just want
because
to-
I can't hear both of you.
I just, while he was showing the picture, I just wanted to ask for a little clarification. from
Okay.
Fiscal court. I know you guys are discussing that you're trying to draw up a new legal document for a lease agreement, but ultimately, all of the management until now has relied on having to go through the fiscal court. Am I correct in that?
No,
That-
no,
and
absolutely not.
You did not,
No.
whoever was managing
One
the court
of
did
the-
not
one of-
get approval for
Wherever
things?
we came in, wherever I came in
The
2023,
buildings or the-
I asked how the tier system worked there, how, the hierarchy, who was, who did what. And basically, I was informed that, Nick Rose was the manager, and he had people out there working for him. And then Tony was the executive director, and then they had the, Hollywood board, and then they had the industrial board. And I asked them, I said, well, where do we come in at this? And they said, you're just the money people, you don't make the
But
decisions.
to get approval for
But-
the use
We're-
of money.
that's how we're
And
going
that's,
forward.
and that, you know, after he told me that, he was like, no, if we're gonna, be part of this, you know, we need to have some type of say-so into it.
Right.
But it was
And-
self-sustaining, the court didn't, the general fund didn't put any money into that.
No, everything until this year it's been self-sustaining, you know, it's been doing, I'm not gonna say great, but it's been taking its own. And that's what,
That's what all this is about, we're
That's
just
what-
trying to get ahead of it, so it don't go completely
Hang on
south.
just a second. And that's what we're trying to say, is that we want this thing to succeed just as much as you all do. Because, you know, right now, the insurance, you know, and, you know, Robert would probably kill me on saying this, but the insurance, do you know how much insurance we have on that place up there? They have been relying on recreational immunity, okay? And Robert, ever since I've been in, you know, he's saying, I don't like it. And I don't like it, you know, because it's a big liability for us. And, you know, that's the reason why that our bare minimum is to make the property payment and put insurance on that.
I'm sure Eric can help.
Yeah,
can
Eric
facilitate
can.
with insurance. Eric can get insurance,
Eric will get
because
insurance.
where he's tied to the state, he can, you know.
I talked to Eric about 2 or 3 times a week, you know, but, you know, do I?
I
didn't answer the question.
I just
Who-
don't, I don't understand how,
hang on.
if
Who's,
it's owned by the,
Where are we at?
Right here.
it's okay. It's-
What?
You didn't still answer her question.
Okay, well, I'm trying to do this, then I'm gonna answer her question, so go ahead, and finish with what you're
Oh, no,
saying.
I just, as a property owned by the county, I would have assumed that, and I just wanted clarification, because I heard somebody else comment on the facilities and things like that.
Mhm.
I just assumed that the fiscal court would have to approve things like trail maintenance, or building
No.
maintenance, or parking lot
Whenever we
maintenance.
came in, no, we didn't.
So who's over that? That's Hollywood.
Auto park board.
So how
I
the hell
just
did we
I
get
just
this
wanted
bad shape?
clarification on that.
That's a good question.
That's what I wanna know.
But that's the thing, no, we did not have anything to do with it. You know, that was, I ain't forgot about you. But that's our problem, is that really, and, you know, I might step on people's toes, you know, but truth's the truth. You know,
We've been working 3 years for a P3.
yeah, the management's just hadn't been there, all right?
That's not true.
But-
That's not true at all. That's not true.
Yeah, it is,
No, it's not.
yeah.
No,
The
the
management, you know,
This lady right here, Holly's been there every day.
yeah,
The Hollywood board approves anything that happens.
yep. And Nick, you was the one that told me how the hierarchy went.
Yeah,
You know,
so the management, if we're referring to myself and Holly and the people there, were there. Like if you look at the numbers, we took over in 21, it went from 200,000 to like 350,000 the first year, then it stayed in the 300s all the way to this year, or
Mhm.
maybe the beginning of this year sometime. Our contract ended, what,
Well,
4 months ago? 3
Yeah.
months ago?
no, actually, it's been less than that.
September?
But the thing about it is, you know, we're losing money on it.
I mean, I beg to differ. You didn't lose money. You're within $5,000 of payment, but if you exponentially out what's been built, they built $8 million worth of
And whenever I say
Airbnb.
losing, we're not.
It could be bigger, that's what
We're
I'm
not,
saying.
we're not doing the best we can.
I agree, it could be a little
And
bit.
that's the thing.
And I bring to this, my past job was lawyer proofing facilities and jobs, road jobs, construction jobs. I know what an attorney can come in and do,
Well,
and that's what scares me to death.
the riding part in Kentucky, it works pretty good. I ride dirt bikes, I got a track at my house,
I know,
I've
but
rode
that's.
all over the state,
that's a-
and I've more than probably anybody in this room times 10.
I'm
And
not-
if you're given permission, it stands up, I'm not saying they can't sue you.
No,
But
but
I'm
it's,
saying most of the
that is
time,
for,
you know,
that is for abandoned,
does
if you go
pretty
back and
good.
look, that's for abandoned lands, and that, it's not a place that supposedly is in business to make money. That's what Robert and I'm concerned,
Now, if you have permission, then you're pretty much giving up your right to sue. That's pretty much how that works.
well, I mean, I can see that going sideways when you get,
Well, but I mean, anybody can sue for anybody. I can
Yeah.
walk out here and trip and fall, and I'm gonna come in here and sue you, cause I, you know, it was.
yeah, but we got
it can
insurance on
happen.
this place.
It can happen, but most of the time, you know, that's not how it works. I mean,
It
that's-
happens to us a lot, we got insurance.
Once you sign the form to ride, if you pay to have a pass, right, and if you're up there and you don't have a pass, then you really ain't got no, you know. And I can go back to say, there's been what, 2 people die out there, and you haven't had a lawsuit? Is there 2 people? I hate that, that's terrible, that's a terrible number. Just one?
Yeah.
I thought there was enough, but I'm saying, and, you know, that's a terrible thing, I'm not proud, I'm not, I don't use, I'm not, you know, that's terrible, terrible, terrible for that person's family. But I'm just saying, there's not been, and the park's been open since what, 2018? That's when we finally, when we open?
Yeah, 18.
2018?
18, and I was one there, first rescue the day it opened.
You're telling me, right?
Nick, hang on just a second, I'll get Nick.
No, that's what I was just trying to explain the hierarchy, the Hollywood board had to approve it, the industrial board had to approve it, and then whatever needed to take place, any kind of maintenance or trails, or the fiscal court never approved money or anything to do with Hollywood operations.
Yep.
I would bring that.
Thank you for.
Yeah, I would
Why
bring
does it
the
go
issue-
through the industrial board? I ain't never figured that out.
That's how it was signed when the old judge executive, he wanted the industrial board to kind of be involved. So just for everybody's clarification, the way it went, Holly brought up an issue, I brought the issue to Tony brought the issue to the Hollywood board then either voted on it or took it to the industrial board. And it came back down to either proceed or not proceed. It never went to the fiscal board.
Is anyone here tonight from the Hollywood board?
Yeah.
Did see it. Me.
Gotcha.
And
I was just curious, I don't know who was on it, I didn't mean to speak out of turn, but was just curious as to.
Yes, sir.
I just have one quick question. Those grants, are those open to apply for by anybody with an established nonprofit?
I'll be honest with you, I don't know.
Stuff, cause Kentucky Crawlers, we're a nonprofit, we've been around for a long, long time, and we maintain a lot of those trails. So if there's.
You
if
can
there's
talk to
opportunity
Eric,
there
Eric can explain it
Yeah,
to you.
talk to Eric Hubbard, Eric can tell you, or Scott with.
They got this year's grants for the deal housing.
And, well, Tony back there, he might be able to
I'll
tell
get
you.
his card.
Yeah.
If you're a nonprofit and you have property that you want to establish trails on or maintain, if you're a nonprofit agency and the county government in that local area that you're wanting to do the work will sponsor that, then yes. If you are a government entity already applying like we were, then it's automatic. They automatically will allow you to apply.
And I think that, you know, Tony, correct me if I'm wrong, but, the Department of Local Governments, the past 3 years that you applied, basically, you were about the only one that applied, wasn't you?
Right, and, they set aside, it's federal highway money from federal government, goes to the state, DLG manages it. And they set aside 30% of all those funds for motorized vehicle, recreation. And they've got a bunch of that money there for motorized that nobody ever really applies for. We applied several years in a row, and we received some every year except for this last year.
So you applied for, but how does that get trickled down to the people doing the work?
How do you divvy out the money to the people doing the work? That's what
Like
it
how
is.
can our local off-road club that is nonprofit,
Right.
got 501c status, everything, they're already coming out cleaning trails.
Yep.
And doing cleanup rides and
What
charity
you would do
rides.
is, once that grant money is awarded, then you go through the process of applying to them and showing them what your expenses are and your
How else
costs.
do we apply for you?
No, you can apply
Well,
yourself.
where does your money go then, that you've already got?
It's already earmarked for.
Yeah, it's already
Yeah.
earmarked. You have to.
All of them
generally,
apply
you
for
gotta
a
have-
project.
Gotta have.
The grant itself has to be
What you want to spend money on, they
project.
wanna see that.
Yeah, and that's why we don't wanna sell it, we wanna try to keep it as government, as long as our government thing, cause if not, then those grants go away.
Yeah, we don't wanna lose that $750,000.
They do a lot of trail maintenance in Hollywood.
Yeah.
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 It's just, the reason we haven't gotten to it so far is because of administrative issues with Department of Local Government. The girl that was in charge of it passed away. They lost all of our records. They put a new person in charge of that. She worked for like 6 or 8 months and left. Now they've got somebody new in there. And, now we've got it to a point where, like I said, they emailed me as recently as today and say, when we're gonna start. So, we're ready whenever the fiscal court's ready.
And that's the thing we're trying to do, we're trying to get this thing finished, because like, I think Dennis or somebody said, we've been kicking this can down for almost 3 years now. You know, ever since I came in, they were doing it where I came in. And, you know, so we need to get it settled, get it fixed, and where that, this Hollywood, this off-road park can actually thrive.
So, I feel a little more warm and fuzzy, but I've got a question for you, and this is to you personally. So, you know, you went before the state tourism board to ask for money for infrastructure.
Yes.
Okay. I've got the video on my phone.
Yeah.
So Eric Hubbard gets up there and he talks for an hour and a half about tourism blowing up. He had the guy from, King of the Hammers. He had the BMW motorcycle group there, which is two of the largest groups you can have.
Yes.
How OHV's blowed up, it's gotten huge, it's gotten big, it's, you know, he had all the numbers for the cause Eric's on top of all the numbers. And this ain't got nothing to do with Eric, he was just there, and that's the reason I watched the video.
Eric actually did the presentation before.
Yeah, so I actually watched the video and I was like, because I keep track of Eric and what he's doing. So he goes up through there and goes through this big spiel about how OHB's blown up. You had the guy from Black Mountain saying, hey, we got 600 side-by-sides every weekend up here. You had the guy from Louisville, because I guess the board members from the State Tourism Board are from all over the state, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it wasn't from tourism board, it was senators and representatives from the
Okay,
state.
so, and they're all like, yeah, we've done this, we've done that. And then you get up there, and in your speech, you're trying to get money for infrastructure. Okay, so the guy just got up there and talked for an hour and a half about how great OHV and how it's blown up. And you're trying to get money for that, for cabins, right? Infrastructure,
Well,
water, sewer.
For water and sewer, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you never mentioned the park a single time. Now, that makes 0 sense to me. Either you kind of slipped up, I don't know what you did. But if a guy got up there and talked about how great OHV use was, and you got up right behind him and was trying to get money for infrastructure up there, why did you not use the park? That should have been the biggest golden ticket that you could ever have. Say, look, we got this park up here, we got people wanting to build cabins, and you never mentioned it. And that's what really made me mad, and that's just me being honest.
That's fine, but I can explain, is because one of the things that, I'll be honest with you, I'm worried about the lower end of our community, our county, Clay City. You know, I'm worried about getting infrastructure for our water, for our whole community.
Well, that's not what you talked about. You talked about infrastructure up there. You had the guy you had two guys, you had the guy from the Welcome Center and the other guy. And you did talk about Clay City a little bit, and it does need it. I agree with you. Clay City.
And we were limited on time. We were, if you
that would have been, that was a big, that really kind of irked me. I'm just being honest, it irked me because that would have been your golden ticket.
If you watch the video again, you know, they apologized because we were limited on time. And, you know, I probably didn't mention, Hollywood.
We talked about the solar system on the Welcome Center, we talked about all this stuff, and you had the biggest ace in your pocket that you could ever have to get infrastructure money. And you never put it on the table, and I don't understand that, because you could have got money for that, and I'm just asking, this is just me asking.
Well, no, we're asking for the whole community, you know, that's who I'm worried about. I'll be honest with you, I'm not worried about just one certain location.
I agree with that.
I work for the community, I work for our county, and, you know, the way it is right now, and you can go to Clay City, go down there and look and see what they have. You know, they're gonna drive, you know, if people don't like me using that analogy, they're gonna drive and blow away if we don't do something. There's an industrial park that's been sitting down there for 23 years.
Oh, you're not telling me, I'm
Not
gonna
a,
ask about
not
it.
a thing has been done to that, alright? Whenever I came in, the first week I came in, and Connie can attest to this, is we lost $500,000 because it hadn't been used since 2015 on that industrial park. You know, we lost another $125,000 because we had, you know, they didn't use it because of the industrial park, you know, and, you know, we have to get industries in here to get people to come in here.
Well, you don't have the
Our-
infrastructure down there right now, that's the problem.
No, and that's what,
You don't have the
first thing in the morning, I'm going to Frankfurt, and I'm taking over $10 million worth of budget requests in, because, you know, we have to get the water. And the thing about it is, the areas that need it the worst is upper end of the county. Powell's Valley Water, and she's gone now, but Powell's Valley Water, they do not have the infrastructure to support people. They're on line bans right now. You know, I had a guy came in and wanted to build a subdivision, a 30-home subdivision, and they couldn't because we didn't have the infrastructure. And, you know,
I'm not
that's.
disagreeing with that,
that-
100% correct.
But we have to worry about the whole county. You know, that's my thing. We have to worry about the whole county. And, you know, I apologize if I didn't say anything about,
It just,
up
it
there.
hurt,
And I will tell you, I will tell you
get out
one
of
thing,
context, but
that's one of the things that I was nervous as hell, I'll be honest with you. I store all pieces, I didn't know where the shit would go blind up, and so, you know, I didn't, you know, I'm not a good public speaker, you know, but, you know, we want what's best for this whole county.
That's all I want.
You know, that's me, and, you know.
You
and
may not have mentioned it in that speech, but every trip we've been to Frankfurt, meeting with people, Hollywood's been brought up.
Yes, yeah, and it is, you know, you can ask Speaker Osborne, you know, I met with him back in November, Senator Stivers, you know, I don't.
That's Senator Smith.
Yeah, Brandon Smith,
I know Brandon
Smith,
really good.
ask Brandon, because Brandon's helping us a lot here in this community. You
Yeah,
know,
he's a good guy, he also rides dirt bikes.
Well.
He does,
He's our voice here. You know, I'll tell you that much right now. And this ain't throwing no politics. I don't.
Oh, no, he's a good dude.
I don't care
I
about
mean,
politics.
he's a good dude.
But,
You know,
he's
a good guy.
doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff that people don't realize. You know, Governor Bashir, you know, people say, why are you talking about the governor? Because, you know, he's a Democrat, you're a Republican. No, we're public servants. And, you know, I've aggravated the dog pee out of him about helping us up here, you know, and he's telling me good things are coming up here, you know.
I've had three senators in my truck up there driving around.
And talk, you know, well, you know, ask them if they've seen us down there. Cause we've talked to so many senators and House of Representatives and stuff like that, it ain't even fun. And the main thing is, you know, the first time I went down there, I thought they were going to choke because I asked them for $40 million. You know, because that's in order to get this community in order, that's what it's gonna take. You know, and we had to dumb it down some, we had to bring it down to $20 million. And they said, well, that's doable, but now that we have to justify it. And the justification is, and you know, I've said this in our fiscal court meetings, but our infrastructure is our water and sewer first. We have to start at the bottom, and because right now, Beach Fork, they can't pump any more water. You know, they're pumping 2 million gallons a day, and they're at max capacity. You know, they can't do anything. That's the reason why the Powell's Valley Water has line extensions.
So the next meeting is next Monday.
Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, are we?
Hopefully Tuesday.
Is he gonna have, are you gonna have a proposal, or do you think you'll have something by then?
When I spoke with the attorney that's drafting it, she said it'd be here this first week of December.
Okay.
So hopefully Tuesday.
So maybe by then, we'll at least have a proposal, and then these guys back here who's wanting to talk about taking it over, working it, they'll be able to do something, we'll have something where they can.
Yeah, and everybody here, I'll be expecting to see y'all Tuesday. Cause I want y'all to come in here. Guys, this is y'all's meeting. We work for every one of y'all. That's simple as that. And
Did they have to bring a proposal with them, or?
Just
Not
don't,
this
don't,
time.
he'll-
We
yeah.
won't have it,
But,
we won't have the outline of it until the next meeting.
but we
don't
want,
know
we
what
want
needs
you
to be
here. We want your opinions and stuff.
We need to view that
Yeah,
proposal before we.
yeah, we'll have to look over the proposal.
Well,
Yes, sir.
we reached out to you, we were the ones that got Hollywood off of
Yeah,
the
Keith,
plateau,
Yeah.
Keith Mason,
yeah.
We put together a small proposal for everybody to look over, what you asked us that you wanted bare bones minimum.
Uh-huh.
I've got an insurance policy, quote, got a lot of numbers put together for you guys. Unfortunately, I don't have the big backers that other people do, but, the community needs someone that cares about off-roading, that knows best management practices to protect your waterways and your streams. And if no one's ever heard, on my birthday in 2019 or 2020, I can look back and find the picture, I had all of them, the Division of Water, Oil, and they all wrote me a golden certificate. You can ask Tony Tipton, he was on that board. This was before Powell County owned it. And I wrote this place off a few years ago. We've got a whole packet for every person sitting at that table to go through. I wrote it off because evidently we weren't the best thing. We were the, high growth rate, super successful, and we left out of here, we sold all of our properties in Peaceful Valley. We left out of here and swore we'd never be back. And after a few phone calls, well, I mean, we still get phone calls, my number's all over the world, I guess, but after a few upset people have reached out to me, we took a ride through the park. You can charge me for trespassing, you can, whatever you want, but I was not gonna pay to ride through there. And to see the loss and the destruction of all the hard work that me, my family, my friends, the people of Lee Cove, all the crawlers, all the Ohio River guys, all the hard work they put in is gone because of,
Not maintenance.
just non-maintenance, or maybe just didn't know how to maintenance properly easily and not spend a fortune on it. But you can look back to all the open records that we've tried to get our hands on and not been successful.
What have you asked for?
Just basic,
Like open books to see, so we had information that
they
we
helped
could.
us yesterday and got us the 2 things we needed for today.
Okay.
And we have a packet for everyone to look through. I can't promise you millions of dollars worth of insurance. Number one, the only insurance company that will touch this, I gave that information to other people. Other people have already reached out to them. But in order to carry that, the park has to have enough infrastructure to make it viable for anyone to be able to run it and operate it. And I can't offer you $150,000 the first year. I can offer you an insurance policy. I can offer you the best service that it could be. I didn't really like living up there all the time. But I told, no offense to you, but I told James Anderson Tony Tipton when he approached me, and I told James right to his face, I said, I'll make that place the park of your dreams. And I did just that. And when we were approached and asked how much money the board made, I was approached by a board member, I'm not saying any names, but I was approached by a board member that came up to the park and said, well, how much do I make off of this? And I was like, well, you didn't invest, you all said you don't sell parts. Tony can attest to every one of these questions that has been brought up in multiple meetings. They did not want, they sold park passes and t-shirts. They didn't want nothing to do with anything else. They never asked. But after that meeting, I told my wife that day, I said, pack your things, we're done. We had to give back. If you look at our contracts, our prior contracts, if the park didn't make money, Keith didn't make a penny.
Well, and the thing about it is, on that, everybody in here has the opportunity to put in a lease agreement. Everybody here, if you wanna, put one in, put one in. Ultimately, wherever it comes down to it, it's gonna be you guys right here that makes a decision.
Well,
Yes,
like
sir. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, like I said, we've worked tirelessly since we reached out to you, what, 10
Yeah.
days ago?
Yeah.
And I didn't do that for my own self, cause I'm really enjoying my life, riding my bike every weekend, boating every weekend, like, I didn't need this headache, but I was asked by business owners in this area and by very high up in the off-road community, people that said, they've got to get you back. And I don't have a lot of equity, I mean, I don't have a lot of capital, but I know I can make it. I mean, I took it from, I don't remember the days, but Tony might remember the days, but when I finally signed the contract, I told them it'd be open in like 2 weeks or something, they laughed. Tony, how long was it before we were open?
About 2 weeks.
Yeah, like 9 days, actually.
And again, tonight, we are not gonna make any decisions, cause we can't make any decisions. Because we don't have the lease agreement, y'all don't have the information packages and stuff like that, so, we have to get the lease agreement, we have to review it first, and, because, make sure that Robert's okay with it, make sure the fiscal court's okay with it, and then go from there.
But you do think, Robert, that you'll have that by the next meeting, you think?
I haven't heard anything, different from that.
Done a lot of policing too.
So we were put on the agenda for the next meeting, we just wanted to be able to, for the fiscal court, the ones that are gonna be making the decision, ultimately, we wanted to introduce ourselves, and we wanted to, make sure that you all knew that we were still passionate about the area. We weren't gonna go back, but again, it's because of our love for the off-roading, the off-road community and the local community in that area is why we're here, because they've asked us. And to come back and to fix things and make it to where it's profitable again. It was on its way up, it never met its climax. And, and now we see it's on its way down. So,
Is it alright if we hand out our proposal now?
or
You all
just
can
our
go over it?
information, it's just our information.
Robert,
Robert, we have one for everyone on the board. We have a folder
And-
together with all
and
the
it-
information.
And one of the things I do wanna say right now is everything here, if they do give us, this is not gonna be, all right, we're looking at this and we're gonna make a decision, we like this,
No, I understand,
No.
you've got a proposal,
We are not, we can't do that.
No, and we want to work with the county for what the county needs and wants, because we want it to be successful and we want it to make money for the county. It should be paying upon payment, it should, and it has in the past.
well, we were told y'all would love to look at it, so if not, I mean.
I just brought the books to give an introduction
I
of
don't see any
us.
reason why the court can't look at anything they want
Okay.
to,
Okay.
it's
Yeah,
not-
yeah.
I mean,
If you don't care to bring
And,
it up.
and I'm just here, like most of these guys, I know most of these guys, they're all riders, and we're just here because we don't wanna see it go away.
Hey, we appreciate it.
That's what we're doing.
I will say this, is, that's not our intention. That's, and I've told everybody, before I really got to know Hollywood, I thought it was crazy. I thought it was stupid as hell, but now that I see that there's a potential up there of, it's been good, but it can be better. That's the thing. And we are not out to shut Hollywood
And
down.
Charles is part of people cutting his feet.
Yeah, well, and one good thing about part of, and one of the things that I would, and this is Eddie speaking. This is one of the things that I would like to make sure that we have in there is the security issue, of the locals.
Well, I could call someone at 3 AM, cause trust me, they're out there at 3 and 4
Oh, yeah.
PM
Oh, yes,
in the morning. And
yeah.
I call him and he would be there and he wasn't kind to them.
Yeah, the night of the fatality, we left out
I
at
was right
probably
there
about
with
2
you,
o'clock.
Bob.
And at 2 o'clock when we left, and it was colder than the well digger's tail out there. People still vroom, 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 and that's what I told people, I said, man, I don't see how that the local people stand it. And it's no disrespect on anybody else, but, you know, we have to respect, you know, the people
Listen,
there.
we're all about you doing that.
Yeah.
We want you
Yeah.
to bus people.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the people who actually ride and know what's going on, the idiots make, you know, two bad apples make the rest of us look terrible.
I've made this comment several times, that the good people is gonna take care of the bad people.
And,
You know,
I would like to say one last thing, the insurance company that is available, that's, if there's someone riding on that park, there has to be someone on that park, and there has to be someone that can be reached by phone immediately.
Well, that's what I like to see.
Well,
Yeah.
that's
And we
exactly,
live
but I'm
in
saying,
24/7.
I'm just saying, like, the only insurance company in the US that is worth having, they pay out less than 19% of claims. That's who you wanna hire, is the attorneys. You don't hire an insurance company to have a number. You hire them because they don't pay people and they beat everything in court. That's who, and I've shared that with other people. I mean, there was other people that were wanting to put in a bid that have now turned around to back us and help us to move forward with this.
And again, we as the government cannot provide that. You know, and I, you know, and I'm not, whenever I say this, I'm not saying anything bad or anything like that. But whenever we came in, you know, we had a little bit over $2 million in the general fund. And people talk about, oh, $2 million in my bank account, that would be, hell yeah, that'd be good. But for a county government, that's bad. You know, and that, you know, that $2 million on a bad day could cost, you know. So, you know, we wanna make sure that we cover ourselves, and we wanna make sure that we cover Hollywood, you know, and, you know, because one major lawsuit, we could lose everything, and that's what we don't wanna do. And, you know, and the riders, I appreciate every one of you goes up there and rides, you know. You know, I've had several people, come on up, man, I'll take your ride and stuff like that, you know. You'll probably get me out there and kill me, but, the, you know, just please rest assured, and guys, I want to say this, if you have any questions, call us. You know, that's, you know, because I'd heard so much bull crap that people said, yeah, Nick.
So real quick, I just wanna clarify a few things. First, I will say, like, not taking anything away from Keith and Amanda when they said, got the park open, it was great. First I wanna talk about address the whole, there's never anybody up there. So Holly, right here, she put her heart and soul into it. She was up there every single day, you know, that it was open. She was up there when she called for. She took care of every single rider that was up there. She answered the phone. I don't appreciate the disrespect toward her, people saying that. I wanna clear that room up right now. If there's any questions, you know, you can ask her when she was, what she was, where she was, but I can attest to her that she was there, okay? Tom, he policed his trails, like, he was super proud of the place, did a great job, you know, loved it, still.
I like Tom.
Still right now to today, you know, we don't have a contract, he's not getting paid, still takes care of it, still talks about it. Ask about it every day. So that everybody understands the original contract, you know, my proposal, when I looked at the Hollywood numbers, right, I said, okay, from a business standpoint, the numbers that this is showing, it should be $60,000. That's my offer, I'll give you $60,000. Cause those were the numbers that Hollywood, if you broke it down in the business, that's what it showed it was worth, right? The actual, what we proposed was two proposals. I'll give you $60,000 and run the park, or I'll run it for 2 years. And this is what I think it's gonna cost. I think it's gonna cost $120,000 to operate this park for people and utilities and everything else. And we'll see what Hollywood's numbers are at the end of that time. True numbers. There was no auditing done before. It wasn't tracked very well. The system wasn't operated optimally. And that's not a jab at anybody. That's just the facts. If you look at the data, it's there. Y'all have the paper with you. We turned that around, got the operating thing going great, got the system going great. Holly knew everything that happened, everything was ordered, everything was there, everything was running, right? We did that for 2 years. It was great. The P3 thing came up, like, we're gonna do something. The reason was, now the county knows, like, okay, this is what it's worth at this point in time, right? So now the county can actually make something hopefully happen. The P3 drug on and on and on and on, and it drug this out to the point where, you know, the main point is exactly what Anthony's already made. All the businesses around this is what should have benefited from this park, and it did, and they did for a long time. Now, we've drug this P3 on for so long, it's becoming a problem. And something has to happen. And to be quite frank, I would love to continue with this, and we'll get to the lease thing, whatever, but it needs to continue in an off-road park, and it needs to happen sooner than later.
Totally agree, I agree. You know, I agree, you know, both what you and Anthony said.
And just to speak about the trails, trail maintenance was approved one time this year. I personally don't control trail maintenance. I don't control utilities. I don't control the upgrades of the premises. I don't control any of that. In my contract, I control none of that. The requests were made, once was approved.
So who did you talk to? Who was the request made by?
The same thing we always do. Me and Tony bring it up, the board looks at it. If the numbers are there, they usually have no problem with it. If they're not, they're not. But you can look at the numbers year over year. From
Yeah, when it was
2020.
there, we approved it.
Yeah.
But there toward the end, we were waiting on the,
Waiting on the trail
grant money,
maintenance,
to do a lot of the trail maintenance.
The grants were
Stalled.
hold and stalled.
So it snowballed.
Yeah,
It snowballed.
yeah, it was.
Fast, yeah.
Because up until what, this year? Was it
But
Tony?
if you look at those numbers on the thing, if you look from 2020, $200,000, 2021, like 350, and forward, it was over 300,000 every year is what Hollywood made until the P3 started dragging out this year, right? So the end goal is we should hurry up and push this forward as fast as we can, regardless who gets control of this park and runs it. It needs to happen sooner than later.
I totally agree.
Is
That's what everybody here.
But I'm
agrees with.
talking to this too, right here. What everybody needs to understand, it's not just the county. It's not the county's concern. The county makes plenty of money off of taxes and businesses, but it is